Hello, English 112 students. We are trying to do remote instruction, so welcome back to English 112. The first part, I would like to do a review of uh, the first 8 weeks, and then I would like to move on to the new assignments. To review argument, I found a newspaper article about because of the coronavirus, more people are working at home. And so the research study was conducted before the coronavirus crisis. So the title of the article is Coronavirus Aside, Study Backs Up the Value of Having People Work from Home. So you can see that the research results show that having employees working from home is beneficial. And we will see the reasons why the research study makes this conclusion. The writer's name is Neil Templin, and the source is rate.com. So if I were going to do a research study on working from home, I would have to do some research on this author. I would have to see who rate.com is. I would have to investigate the sources given in the article. So there are 3 reasons why the article says the research has concluded that people should work from home. 1, there's a 15% boost in productivity. 2, there's a 20% drop in voluntary worker turnover. 3, there is a 31 reduction in absenteeism. So this makes sense if you look at I waste less time going to work, taking lunch, having a cigarette break, or whatever. I am not distracted by the work environment. If I'm at home, then I can concentrate more with less diversion. 2, voluntary worker turnover. So if I don't have to see my mean boss and I don't have to work with people that I don't like, then I'm at home, I'm more comfortable, I am avoiding some of the reasons why people quit their job. Absenteeism, you know, it's very easy to call in and say, oh, I'm sick, I can't come to work. But even if you are at home, you can rest, sleep in, and then still get some work done. You don't have to get in your car, drive to work, and work under negative conditions. So it does say that more people do their work at home. They don't call in sick. So we look at the people who did the research. A study by Global Workplace Analytics finds that a company saves an average of $24,000 a year for each employee who works entirely from home. So it says that Global Workplace looked at case studies and academic research to come up with the estimate. So if companies are looking for proof that they should have more employees working from home, then, you know, confirming this, that there are advantages by looking at case studies and numbers and situations. So I can easily think, you know, here I am working from home. So, you know, I miss my students, I miss my office workers, I miss my coworkers, so I don't have any interaction with other people. It is boring, but I have done a lot of work. I do have one job that I don't have any face-to-face teaching, so I totally work at home during that job. On the busy days, I log in about 9 p.m. after everybody else has finished their work. There's not too much going on here at home. And sometimes I work until 2 in the morning. And you know, I get a lot done that way. But, you know, no distractions. I am by myself. They don't pay for my computer. They don't pay for the things I print. I do print some of my um, email communications so that I have a record of them. I know I'm a hard hard copy person, so I'm maybe wasting paper and ink, but I pay for my own printer, I pay for my own computer, I have my own file cabinet, I have my own folders, I have to pay for that. And it's kind of odd not having anybody that I can depend on. I don't know the people that I work for, and so I don't have any physical contact with my bosses. They don't really know who I am. So it's different from uh, the TCC. I know the dean, I know my students, I know the office manager, and so, I can't say that I totally support working at home. I get my paycheck regularly. That's the main point, that it is a real job, and they're located in uh, California, San Diego. So, I couldn't have that job here in Virginia if I wanted it to go face to face to work. So I do know some of the advantages and disadvantages of working at home. So anyway, that's a review of what an argument is if someone would agree that working from home is profitable for the company. Then it's a different argument to see if an employee wants to work from home or wants to work in the workplace. Of course, because we are working under strange conditions with the coronavirus, if I were working in a restaurant, the restaurant closed, I would be unemployed. So I would prefer to work at home. There's no way I could work at home as an restaurant worker. So in other jobs, rather than close the workplace, the workers could work at home. Then as an employee, I would choose to work at home rather than be laid off. So that is an example, and I wrote my script. I did email students the script. The first lessons are a review of the first 8 weeks, and I did want to emphasize that the review is meant to help students complete the course successfully, and so I did put that in there. We started this course with studying argumentative writing, reading, discussing, and writing about the articles in the textbook. I did find the definition of argument, and most academic writing 2 courses are founded on argumentative writing that is beneficial for students. So when a college student is assigned an argument essay, there are certain steps that the student follows to build the argument. The writer is tasked with investigating an issue, taking a stand on the issue, and finding and incorporating a multitude of evidence in a logical manner to support the overall claim. So those are the elements of argument that we've been working on, but it's not just TCC, it's not just English 112, it's many colleges and many students who are writing argument papers. We did look at a variety of types of argument. We started with Aristotle. You've got the emotional appeals that might help someone build an argument to convince someone. Other people are convinced by logical appeals, and the third way to appeal is by showing credibility. And so emotional, logical appeals and appeal of credibility are 3 tools that help build an argument that might convince more people. Then we looked at Toulmin model. So the Toulmin model of argument is using 3 parts, which are the claim, the grounds, and the warrant. And so you look at the parts of the argument. 3 other parts, which are not only parts of Toulmin, but parts of an argument: backing, qualifier, and rebuttal. And so we did study all of those elements using the 6 elements: ground, claims, warrant, backing, qualifier, and rebuttal. The source I found said that students can construct a full, nuanced argument. And so nuance means that there is a subtle difference in or a shade of meaning. And so the word choice does help people build a convincing argument. So the second page starts with Rogerian argument. We looked at conciliatory argument, and in the textbook, the explanation is a student essay on gun control. We know that you have two opposing forces. One group says no gun control at all. Others say complete gun control, and then try to find a common ground between those two opposing sides might be to allow people to have their hunting rifles and their handguns if they are registered and safety trained, but to forbid assault weapons because those have caused quite a few incidents. And we've had a violent society which people are then, convinced that yes, maybe we do need some kind of gun control. So that was in our book. We did go over that. The reason why you try to understand the opposition is to have less conflict and fewer misunderstandings and less friction between opposing sides. We also reviewed deductive and inductive argument. I did find another website. I gave students the link. The next thing we did was definition argument. Definition argument we studied in the textbook, which was about gossip, and I asked students to write a pro-con chart about gossip. Oh, gossip is harmless. Go ahead and gossip, or gossip should be avoided. People should not gossip. And so by defining gossip, the writer builds the argument that no, people should not gossip. I did find another website which has an example of a definition essay about sexting. Sexting has a lot of parents concerned because their underage teenagers could have a record at a young age because of the consequences of sexting. So that would be another example. I did build a list of sources, the works cited. I see on my handout I forgot the S, which is exactly what I told students not to forget. But in alphabetical order, I did list the sources that I used for students who need another source of information for a review, or who don't have a book, then you still have the same information as the rest of the class. All right, so at the bottom of page 3, I wanted to do a review of the graded assignments. I just made a list. The signed syllabus signature I collected to have students affirm that they had read the syllabus, they know the conditions of the course. I asked students to write an introduction paragraph, introduce yourselves, so that when I look at all of your work and review your semester writing assignments, that I know clearly which student has written these and I remember you while I'm reviewing your work. What are your hobbies? Where are you from? Places you've traveled, what your major is, what kind of career you would like, what are your goals in life. Something like that would be an introduction paragraph. The second paragraph for the portfolio, I asked students to write a writing inventory. Who are you as a writer? When did you start to write? What are your positive or negative experiences with writing? And so I did get to know students a little bit through reading those histories of writing. We did 4 summary analysis response essays. I noticed when I checked Canvas, some students never printed them out, and so now I'm having to download those to grade. The printed ones are all graded, but now I have to devise a way of returning them to you. I guess my scanner will have to do, and then I can scan your papers with comments so that you can make corrections for the portfolio. We did 3 quizzes. The first quiz was quotation marks, and then we did a retest for students who didn't do well. The second quiz was on the first chapter, Introduction to Argument. The third quiz was review of argumentative writing, and so those are the 3 quizzes that we did so far. We have had 6 in-class activities, and I did list all of those on my script, trying to apply different tools in analyzing argument. And the first one was millennials in the textbook. The second one was applying the analytical question list. The third one, applying the Toulmin model. I gave students an article on social media. The fourth in-class activity was writing signal phrases to introduce outside sources. In the research paper, you can introduce resources in different ways to signal that, yes, I'm acknowledging the source. This is not my essay part. This is introduction to the source. We did the analysis of the article about gossip. Like I said, we did the pro-con chart and some discussion questions. The Tannen article about gender and communication, the style of communication is different. I had a list of questions from a more up-to-date article by the same writer on the same topic, and I asked students to answer in 4 sentences each for those 3 questions. So those are the 6 in-class activities that we have completed so far. Argument research paper 1, I have graded. I returned those students papers, which was the narrative argument essay. The second paper is not finished, which is the visual essay. And so that second paper should have 5 sources. And I'm asking you to have a draft, a peer review, a final draft, and post the final draft on Canvas so that I can download the final draft. It was originally due the 25th of March, so some people have gone on and finished it. I'm ready to download that from Canvas. I do need your questions if you are having difficulty with the second essay, because the third one is supposed to start. The third paper is really the highest point value. Argument research paper number 3 is described as a 6-page paper with 9 sources, MLA style, and the steps to the research paper are an additional 10 points, so it's a total of 30 points for one paper, but you do have a month to complete it. So I'm waiting for the proposal. Hopefully Wednesday I'll get my proposals in. It's a very brief paragraph, and it explains why you want to write about that topic and so on. So this is the first script that I wrote for students, and I'm ready to start the second handout about argument research paper 3. The parts of the preparation for this paper are proposal, outline, annotated bibliography, the draft, the peer review. And so that is 2 points each step with a total of 10 points. Chapter 13 in the textbook is a very good resource. The title of the chapter is Writing the Researched Essay, and it starts on page 281. There is an example of a student paper about genetically modified food. The argument involves should by law all genetically modified foods be labeled? And of course, food producers are going to resist this because packaging and labeling is a very expensive process. So they also might lose customers if they inform people that genetically modified food is in this food product. Excuse me. All right, so I did write a little explanation of how to write the proposal. It should introduce the broad controversial issue, present the thesis. Are you opposed? Are you supporting? What will your claim in the paper be? And the proposal explained why you selected the topic, and if you narrow this topic down, what will be included in the paper. It's good to discuss why this topic is important, how it's relevant, and why it's the research on this topic will be beneficial. You also can make a connection to your interests, your major, or your career, or the current times, which give it a relevance or importance. So that's the end of page 1 of my notes. I did find a website which explains proposal, and the links are in the notes, and there's also the full reference in the works cited page. So the outline is the second step to the research paper. It's not a formal outline, but the outline is really for students. I have had students who finish their paper and then do the outline after the paper is done just to get the 2 points. Outlining the paper should be for you, making the paper easier. And so I found a PDF file from Valencia College which explained how to prepare an outline for an argument research paper. The third step is in our textbook, which is annotated bibliography. The annotated bibliography proves that students have located sources and screened them. So your annotated bibliography could say that I located this very good source, but it's outdated, and it does explain why you reject some sources, that you've looked and evaluated your sources. Purdue Online Writing Lab has citations for annotated bibliographies in MLA, APA, and Chicago style. Part of our course is meant to explore other styles of documentation in case students need it. It is at the Purdue site. Some of the APA citations are in our textbook. Okay, so that is pretty much what we are doing for the third paper. And I started a list of skills in order to prepare a research paper. There are skills of quotation, paraphrase, introducing with signal phrases, and in-text citation, works cited. I will review those skills to go through the example of the paper in the next lecture. And I did prepare one site for how to use quotations in a research paper, not just how to use quotation marks. So I did put wikihow.com as a source. I like this website. I know .com sources are not respected, but WikiHow, for some reason, is very clear to me and also very useful. So that is the end of the second part. So preparing your paper for it takes about a month. So I did write down the due dates. The final draft of the third research paper is April 22nd. So the due dates are on the syllabus. We'll just do the best we can. I'll be happy to help you with any of your papers. And once you look through my notes and listen to me, then you can email me questions. I will prepare another video with frequently asked questions to clarify something that some students have asked me, since I've got 3 classes for English 112, then everyone will benefit from the answers if anything is confusing. So I am here and I'm checking my email and I'm checking Canvas and trying to prepare videos. If you just let me know what information you think you would need, and if you have a book, if you don't have a book, then I will supplement the sources that we have. So thanks for listening, and I will be checking my email for your questions. See you next time.